Hi there, Leila here. So today I want to address a very common question I get, which is how do I delete blank rows in my dataset? Now you obviously know how to do this, right? To select the entire blank row, right mouse click, delete. But you obviously don't want to do this manually, especially if you have a lot of data. So in this video, I want to show you 3 different ways you can get this done. My personal favorite is the third way. I'm curious what yours is going to be, so comment below this video and let me know. The first method is super fast. It takes under 20 seconds. The first thing you need to do though is to find your identifier or identifying column. What I mean by that is, for example, in this data set, whenever date here is empty, so whenever I have a blank cell in this date column, I want to delete the entire row. But if I have a blank cell anywhere else, so I have a blank cell here, for example, I don't want to delete the entire row. So in this example, my identifier is going to be the date column. Now, the next thing you need to do is select that entire column. I'm just going to go to the bottom of this data set, Ctrl+Shift, and then press the Home key to jump all the way back up and select everything in between. Now, you're going to go to Find and Select, go to Special, Blanks, OK this, don't click anywhere, go directly to the menu here, Delete, and delete the sheet rows. And all those blank rows are gone. You can get even faster if you use shortcut keys to get this done. So let me show you that version too. After you've selected your identifier column or columns, press Ctrl+G to get to Go To, Alt+S to get to Special, K for blanks, press Enter. We can see the cell selected. To delete the entire row, press Ctrl+minus, arrow down, entire row, and Enter. And all those blank rows are gone. Method number 2 is the filter way. Now this is great whenever you don't have an identifier column and you want to make sure that every single cell in a specific row is empty before you delete it. So for example, let's say sometimes date might be empty and I definitely don't want to delete this row. I want to keep it. So I can't use date as my identifier. And let's say I can't use any other column as my identifier because sometimes location might be empty. Sometimes campaign name might be empty. I want to make sure that every single cell in a specific row is empty. This is what you need to do. Before you activate filter, you need to add a helper column. So I'll just call this to check. Now we are going to use the COUNTA function. And we're using COUNTA because we want to count anything that's in a column, whether it's a number or text. And I'm going to select all these cells in the same row, close bracket, press Enter. I have 7 cells that aren't empty here. We're just going to copy this all the way down. So let's just drag this down to the end of our data set. Whenever we're dealing with a blank row, we're going to have a 0 count here. Now we're going to activate filter, Ctrl+Shift+L to activate filter here, or just go to data and select filter. Then let's filter for the 0. So I'm going to uncheck select all, place a check mark for 0. Now all the zeros are here. So let's Ctrl+Shift down to select all of them. Now you can go to Home, delete sheet rows, or you can right mouse click and delete row, or use the shortcut key Ctrl-minus to delete the entire sheet row. Okay, now we're going to Ctrl+Shift+L this again to remove the filter, and all our blank rows are gone. And we've left everything else where it should be. Now I can go ahead and delete this helper column. Save the best for last, right? The third way is the Power Query way. And as I mentioned earlier, this is my favorite method because it's dynamic and it's super fast. Okay, so here's how it works. We are going to go to the bottom of our data set. And in fact, because this is dynamic, we're even going to account for future data. So I'm going to add in some blank rows on the bottom here. So let's just go to row 200. Now we're going to select the entire range. So Ctrl+Shift and the home key to select everything. Go to data, and here we're going to go with from table range. But here's the problem. The moment I select this, Excel wants to convert my source data into an official Excel table. Now this might be fine for you, and if it is, just go ahead and click on OK, but sometimes you don't want that, right? In this case, I don't want Excel to convert this data into a table. I just want Excel to keep this data as is. So what I'm going to do is cancel this. Instead, I'm going to go to this box here. This is called the name box. And I'm going to give this range a name. So I'll just type in my range. You can call it whatever you want. Just don't put any spaces there and then press enter. Now we're using a named range. So the moment you click on this, Excel notices that we're using a named range. So it's not going to convert your data set into a table. If you happen though to click away and your range isn't selected anymore, just go to this drop down here. You're going to see your named range, select it, and now you're going to see everything selected. Then go and click on From Table Range. Power Query is going to open up and it's going to send that named range into Power Query. Now go to Remove Rows and select Remove Blank Rows. That's it. We're going to send this back to Excel, close and load, and it's going to load our clean data on a new sheet as an Excel table. We can see it excludes all the blank rows. Now you can adjust the look of this if you want. I'm not a fan of these table styles, so I'm just going to go and remove this, and let's just make the headers bold. The cool thing about this, remember, is that it's dynamic. So if we get new data, so if I just go all the way to the bottom here, and let's just copy this last batch and pasted it here. I'm just going to put in my name here. So we have new data added to the bottom of this data set. I can even add another blank row here in between. Now I'm going to go to my table. Now, this is just called my range, but you can rename this to whatever you want. We say report no blanks. We're going to refresh this, right mouse click, refresh, and the new data shows up here. That's the beauty of using Power Query. If though, at any point in time, you want to remove the connection to the source data, you just want to have this as standalone and not dynamic anymore, you can go to Queries and Connections here, right mouse click, and delete this query, and that's going to remove the connection to the source data. But the great thing of having it like this is that you can decide how you want to consume the end result. Do you want to have it as a table like this? Or maybe you want it as a pivot table. In that case, you just need to right mouse click here on the query, load to, and select Pivot Table Report. When you OK this, Excel is just going to warn you that if it's going to put a pivot table here, it's going to be removing this data, which is fine. We're going to go with OK. And now we have a clean data source to create a pivot table on. How cool is that? I'm really curious though, which method you like the best. So comment below and let me know. Now, I personally love Power Query because I find Power Query to be one of these tools where with just knowing a little bit about it, you can achieve so much. So if Power Query was like a food type, and I'm kind of obsessed with food right now because I'm like doing this training plan to get some muscle here. So I'm watching what I eat. And I was thinking if Power Query was like a food type, it would be one of those highly nutritious foods that you want to consume every day if you want to be healthy. Just with a little bit of Power Query, you can get so much out of it. Now, if you're interested to learn Power Query, you might be familiar with the courses that we offer. We do have a Power Query course that takes you from beginner all the way to ninja level. But the thing with Power Query is that you don't even have to go to ninja level. You don't even have to go to advanced. After you cover the beginner sections, you can already achieve so much, and it just opens all these new opportunities that you might have completely missed before. Now, if you also want to just learn about pivot tables and see what pivot tables have to offer, we recently released a new course called PivotTable Essentials. Okay, so check those out if you're interested to learn more. Thank you for being here. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and I'm going to catch you in the next video.